Welcome back to Life Experiences with Dr. Amanda. This segment, we're going to talk about attitudes. The way we act, when we feel a certain kind of way about a certain topic or a person or things that are taking place. And usually it causes us to exhibit a behavior in a type of way. That's our attitude. So Matthew chapters 5 through 7, it's commonly known as Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. And those 3 chapters have quite a bit to do with the attitude that Christians should possess. And so, like I said earlier, our attitude it's the way that we think or feel about someone or something. And it's typically reflected in how we behave about that certain area or that certain person. Our attitude, it pretty much impacts our daily life and how we interact with others. It's a big part of who we are. And if my attitude is focused on the things of God, I'm more able to see the world and people through God's eyes. But on the flip side of that, if my attitude is tainted by negativity, a victim mentality, people are always on me or against me. If my attitude is that of resentment, revenge, or anger, which are things that are not of God, then it's impossible for me to see the world through the eyes of God. It's impossible for me to take on the attributes of my spiritual father if that's the way I see everything, if that's my attitude for life. So when we trust God, we have no basis for having a bad or a negative attitude in any situation or against anyone, because it shows lack of trust in our Father who takes care of us. When we exhibit a negative or a bad attitude, it actually reflects how we see our Father taking care of us. So it reflects our lack of trust in Him. And I really want to speak to my Christian sisters. When we think about attitude or a bad attitude, we think about the rolling of the neck and the snapping of the finger and that kind of thing. And I used to think it was primarily my black sisters, but the longer I live, I see it's women. We have a way of showing when we have a certain attitude about something. And a lot of times I've noticed that it's towards one another as women having attitudes toward each other, not even knowing one another. But some kind of way, it seems like when we walk into places, we look at each other a certain way, whether it's based on how our hair is or what we're wearing or anything like that. It seems like we have just this negative attitude towards one another. And so I have to ask myself, because I've experienced that, what is there in me that is causing this bad attitude? Is it jealousy? We have to be for real with ourselves. Is it my low self-esteem? Is it anger from something that needs to be addressed? But whatever it is, we need to get to the root cause of it. One of the things I practice now, because I know how to get to the root cause of something, and sometimes it's a painful thing to do, I ask myself questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you acting that way? And in times past, it's been, because she was dressed a certain way, or I thought she rolled her eyes at me, or she looked a certain way. So that was that judgment, which is against what Scripture says to do, judging others. So what I do now is I specifically, especially practice being more approachable to women in general. When I go into stores or I see a woman, I go out of my way literally to smile or to speak, because I want to defeat Satan in that area. I was talking about those chapters, Matthew 5 through 7. One of the verses in those chapters, Matthew 7 and 12, it says, whatever you would that men would do to you, do to them. And so that's what I strive to do. I strive to do that. And so within doing that, I defeat Satan and whatever it is that he tries to put in my attitude toward women. And that can be across the board with anything. Your attitude towards going to work, our attitude towards doing anything. That is what we can do to defeat it. Find your scripture that really addresses that thing and stick to it. It could even be Matthew 7 and 12. Whatever you would that men would do to you, do to them, if it's specific to different people. And so I'm going to give you some homework. Read Matthew chapters 5 through 7 and just look at that attitude that we should have as Christians. Think about it and meditate on it. So I'm going to stop there. Next time, I want to talk about religious reality. And I'm not going to tell you anything about what I'm talking about. So you have to tune in next time. Remember to subscribe to the channel, share with others, and as always, have a wonderfully blessed rest of the week.